Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, the best growth mindset podcast, recognized by Million Podcasts and ranked as a top mindset podcast by FeedSpot. We're proud to be in the top 1% on Listen Notes. Join Dr. Alisa Whyte as we explore powerful insights and strategies to elevate your mindset. Let's dive in.
Well, welcome back to Mindset Mastery Moments. I'm Dr. Alisa Whyte, the number one mindset disruptor. And today's episode is going to be a little bit of a stretch for you, some of you at least. And we can't wait to hear what you think and what you learn from it. But I want you to lean in really close and use the most grown mindset version of your thinking and just open up and listen. Allow your fears, questions, and prior knowledge to take a back seat today and let openness come to the front and open your mind and your heart to just listen to the conversation really well, no matter where in the world you are and what walk of life and what stage of life you're in. Now, I always say having a growth mindset isn't about sitting in what feels comfortable. That is exactly the opposite of what a growth mindset is. It's about leaning in with curiosity, even when something feels unfamiliar, even when it challenges what you thought you knew. And that's why I'm excited about today's guest. He goes by the Woke Prophet. His name is Thomas Jones, and his work is all about deliverance, healing, and awakening. He is the author of The Woke Prophet, It's Time to Wake Up. Thomas is 2025 Holistic Therapist of the Year in the USA and recognized by this prestigious award as well. He's walked a spiritual path that led him to what he calls achieving his light body, the highest spiritual honor from the Most High God. Through his book, his healing work at Energetic Hands, and his online platforms, he challenges people to wake up, not just physically, but spiritually and mentally. Well, today we welcome Mr. Thomas Jones, the Woke Prophet, to Mindset Mastery Moments. My dear brother Thomas, I will welcome you to Mindset Mastery Moments. We can't wait to dive into learning more about you and what you do, but in your own words, tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Like you introduced, I'm the Woke Prophet, Thomas Jones. I travel, work with people all around the globe with healing, deliverance. I work with the real dark and nasty side of it, not the rainbows and unicorns. You know, whatever you're dealing with, demonic spirits is very, very serious. So I've learned a lot through my work. So I also work with people that are experiencing like hauntings or just paranormal experiences in their homes. You know, some people have portals in their homes, so I'm able to come through the homes. I can cleanse your home out, remove all of that bad energy, those demonic spirits. Again, I get into the real deep down dirty side of this. So, yeah.
So someone's listening right now, Thomas, and they're thinking, is this exorcism? Is Dr. Alisa talking about exorcism? Well, that too.
Yeah, that's what it is, because I perform exorcisms, I work with possession cases, all of it, yeah.
So we're going to definitely dive into that a little bit more as we go along in this conversation. But Thomas, first let's just say, when people hear the woke prophets, right now there is a war on being woke. We're not going to go political on that. It's too bad, too sad for whoever's in that battle. You and I obviously are not. Woke for me means becoming awake and aware of the truth. And I didn't say the fact. I said the truth, because truth does not change or vary. Facts differ based on which perspective and what we're hearing. But truth is truth. It is what it is, and there's no changing it. That's my perception of woke or being awake and what truth is. So people would stop in their tracks when they hear woke prophets. Like, okay, so is he a prophet that is woke and hip and cool? Because a lot of people are using this woke word to mean hip, cool, and trending, which for me is far from, right? Tell me the story behind the name and why do you go by the name The Woke Prophet?
Well, the story behind the name The Woke Prophet. This all started back for me 2015. I was involved in a on-the-job accident. It was a work accident. I used to be a crane operator. I had an air conditioner unit that broke and it fell like 3 feet, hit me in the head. After I was struck by that, I started to see
Mm,
visions, a lot of dreaming, started hearing voices. So I started having these visions of walking with angels, speaking with
mm,
the Most High. Also, at that time, through that process, is when I learned that Jesus is not who we think he is, and his
mm,
correct name is Yeshua HaMashiach.
mm.
Some people, and some people will say, Jesus, Yeshua, it's all the same, but we're talking about two different entities. When we're talking about Jesus, we're actually talking about Lucifer. People don't even know it.
Ooh, okay.
So I discovered that because Yeshua came to me in a dream and told me about that. So going through that, I started seeing myself doing healing, deliverance. I started just seeing a lot of supernatural things that at the time I couldn't grasp. I didn't understand. I started thinking to myself, man, maybe I'm dying, you know.
Mm,
But it was funny because every time I thought this, I would hear a voice to say, no, you're not dying. So then I would think, maybe I'm dead already. Then I heard the voice say, no, you're not dead, because I was seeing so much. I had so much that was happening so fast. I know in the introduction, you mentioned the light body. I went through a whole process with achieving the light body, which I guess I could probably get into that a little later, but that was very, very extreme process going through that. In terms of how this whole name, the woke prophet, came, I didn't understand. So I knew I wasn't a religious person. So I knew that.
mhm,
And as I started walking more and more through my journey, sure would lead me to different things. So I just started seeing so many things that was upside down, so many things that were
mhm,
wrong. So I was trying to figure out, like, where do I fit in at? Like, well, I'm not religious. I am spiritual, but even some of the spiritual people, I see them going over the cliff doing a lot of crazy things. I just heard the angel just tell me, he was like, this is what the angel said in the spirit, you're the woke prophet. So I started understanding that being woke, just like you explained earlier, you
mm,
have this awareness. You're starting to understand the truth. The scales are starting to be pulled off of your eyes. You're starting to realize, we're walking in all of this deception, all of these
mhm,
things that we've been taught are mostly wrong. We come in with programs. So basically, when you are waking up or you're woke, you're just breaking free from all of these programs. You're breaking free from
mm,
this truth, from the tradition, that most of us are just used to just following, doing what, your mother did, your father or the grandmother, everybody's just kind of playing what I call follow the leader. So I started to
mhm,
break away from that stuff and I just started questioning everything. And as I started
mm.
questioning everything, different things started to come to light.
Wow. Wow. That's so basically one thing I could say for sure, we definitely agree on what it means to be woke. And so one of the comments I have to that is why would anyone who or any system that intends to control the masses, one of the ways we control people or a person and then obviously the masses is through deception to make things seem as it is for one way when it's more than likely the total opposite. So it looks great, it looks right, it looks legal, it looks true, or it looks healthy, but it really is the opposite because we still do live in a world where there is a minority group of people, and this is not by race or anything, but there's a group of people whose intention is to control the masses and the narratives and the way we think. Once you control the way people think, you control them. To control the way people think, you control the information they are provided.
Right.
Whether you give them misinformation, contradictory information, no information, just
Mm-hmm.
some of the information, it's still misinformation and it's still meant to become one result where a group of individuals, again, this is again not race, a group of individuals are in control. And one of the things I'm going to bring up in this episode that, my listeners and viewers that have been following along with us at the podcast may not know of me is when I call myself, allow myself to be called the mindset disruptor. And I said the number one because number two is not a number and three no one's remembering. So being a disruptor is literally to challenge the way people think when we talk about mindset, to challenge you to tap in to yourself and really be able to listen to your voice. And that's why I go for mindset, because the way you're thinking, the question is always, is it your thoughts or is it what's fed to you? So you're the woke prophet. I'm the mindset disruptor. For me, we're in the same business. No, we're in the same line of business to help people remove the scales from their eyes, to, again, get information and get the truth, right? I see you nodding your head, so telling me.
Right. Yeah.
And use it to use it to empower themselves as they walk as humans on the earth. Because
right.
I don't know, you are going to tell us a little bit about afterlife. I think we're going to get into maybe this episode or next. But for right now, we're here. So there's a reason for us being here, and we will get the highest, best version of ourselves, the more awakened and the less scales we have in our spiritual eyes first. And then, of course, in the natural, it will manifest. So all that blah, blah, I hope you guys understand why this conversation is so important to me, that you all have access to Thomas in this episode and what we also presume will be many other episodes after this. So I know that you wrote your book and you write about the idea of waking up. And you told us about how you got that injury and stuff. And you said that the unseen world is just as real as the one we see. That line really, really stood out to me, Thomas. What really woke you up to reality in that process of the injury and all this revelation? What was that? How would you describe the reality that became real after that awakening in your life?
I think what really woke me up, let me just say, just going through the process, I just remember feeling, and this went on for quite some time, that I was not in my body. That's just how I felt. I felt like a floating sensation. Everything just felt as if it was being pulled away. I was stripped of different things, just not understanding at the time exactly what was going on. But everything was just being pulled away, having dreams of being in a ball of golden light. And I just remember things just being pulled, or a sensation of something being pulled away. It was like a purification process that I was going through. Now, I think what really, really got me with this, I remember being in the bed because I had this injury, so I'm in bed for maybe like a year and a half. So that was very, very tough time for me. So I'm a very, very productive person. I like to go. I don't sit down, a workaholic type of thing. So now I'm confined to this bed for a year and a half, one of the worst times in my life. So I'm in this bed, and I just remember just saying, man, I have to figure something out. I tried to work out. I couldn't do that. I mean, it was a mess. But as I'm in the bed, I would hear voices, and these voices would tell me, roll over on your side. So I would roll over on my side, and I could feel something working on my body. It'll say, okay, roll over on your other side. I could feel something working on my body. Now, at the time, I was the type of person that, I guess what most people would say, you act too hard, that sort of thing. I didn't think so, but, I'm just not a sensitive person. So I remember this particular time, I'm lying in bed, and I felt a hand go through my chest, and it grabbed my heart. When it grabbed my heart, I felt something was twisting, turning. I knew something was happening. It was very, very uncomfortable. And then it lasted, I want to say maybe 30 seconds. And then it stopped. But for some reason, I knew that I had to just deal with it and try to take it. So I did. But I remember waking up the next morning. So when I woke up the next morning, it was a little unusual for me because I'm talking to friends and, guy friends. And at the end of the conversation, I'm like, just want to let you know I love you. And I'm like, what? Like we don't say that to each other, my friends, right? So I'm trying to figure out, like, what was that about? So then I talked to the next one, and we're on the phone. And before we about to get off the phone, I'm like, man, I haven't, never said this to you, but I love you, but it felt so strange and so weird to me. So I'm like, what is happening? I'm getting soft. I mean, it turned me into a Powerpuff Girl. Like, what's really going on? So I'm trying to figure out what's happening. But I think that's when I knew that this was real, because what I found out was it was work that was being done. My heart was shifted, and this wall that formed around my heart, all of this stuff was removed. So it just changed me. So I was able to start saying stuff like that, and just out of the blue, and it was just shocking. Some people was trying to figure out like, well, who is this guy? And I'm saying to myself like, but that's when I realized, I say, yeah, this stuff is real. This is true. And I would always say people would not believe the stuff that the things that I'm going through, but this stuff is real. And then that's when the information started coming in. The downloads was coming like crazy. Now, for me, with my downloads, as I prayed, I was told to look at the sun. So I had different hours of the day. If I can remember correctly, I believe it was something like 30 minutes, right when it set, right when it came up and when it set, but it was a time frame, so it wouldn't hurt your eyes. And as I was doing this, I remember looking at the sun and seeing all of these look like fireballs, electricity, but it hit my eyes. So, and then I would just be talking to people, and I'll be talking for 5 or 10 minutes, and at the end of the conversation, the person would just be looking, and it was like, how do you know that? And I would look at them like, I don't know. So it was just coming to me, and information was coming through looking at the sun. So yeah, that's how I kind of knew this stuff was the real deal.
What's the real deal?
Yeah.
And what do you call, so you label that entire experience of what I would say transformation in your own life, your body and your mind, and for me, your soul, you label that your awakening, right?
Yes.
Would that be perfectly? So let's dive into the juicy part. This is juicy now. Deliverance, healing, and fear. One of the things you don't shy away from is talking about spirits, possession, oppression, things most people either dismiss or avoid. But you bring it into a more real life, not just, we saw some of this stuff in movies. There was a movie I think I watched from Tyler Perry recently. That was been the most recent one, because I know back in the 90s they might have had the exorcism deal, because people are trying to anchor. This is not movies. This is real life. First of all, it's not. And you guys would hear some of my own experiences later if I feel led to share. These are not. This is real life. What he's sharing with us today is not made up. What opened your eyes to the whole reality of the spirit realm and how possession and oppression, all of it works?
Well, my eyes open. I'm gonna tell you, but me, I pretty much was thrown in the water. It was like learn how to swim. That's just how it was. And when I mean it was coming fast and hard, because in my situation, it wasn't like I had people that I could go to ask questions, because most of the things that I was experiencing, if you bring it up to somebody, they're kind of looking at you like you're losing it. So I had to figure it out on my own. So I was just placed in situations, and I knew, okay, this person needs help. So I would get this feeling that would come over me. So it would be like an anxious feeling in my stomach. So I would get led to a person, and then I would just start giving them information. And or it could be that a person would be led to me through my dreams, or through their dreams. So they would have a dream and say, hey, well, I saw you and something told me go to go and Google and look it up. So I knew that I had to come to you. So after they would come, I just started, it was kind of like a situation that on the job, as I worked, I started to learn. So I would be talking to people. They would come into my office, and I could tell that the person was getting very, very uncomfortable. I started noticing a particular laugh. So I picked up, okay, this laugh is coming from the spirit Jezebel. And so the spirit would start talking to me, and they would start telling me, hey, I hate your guts. I want you to, I want you to die. Just all types of stuff that I would hear. So they would come to me. And then I had other gifts that started to develop within me. So these gifts were that I could look at a person, I could see the spirits that were in them. I was able to command these spirits to give me their names. And then I was able to command them for them to give me the information in terms of how they entered the person. I tell people all the time, when we're dealing with demonic spirits, the spirits just can't say, I don't like that person. Let's jump in them and possess them. So it doesn't work that way. You have to open a door. So that's what we call an invitation. And that's giving the demon a legal right. So people would just be doing different things, not knowing. Examples, masturbating, marijuana, some of the top ones that I would see, or let's just say pornography. So that will open the door to allow these spirits to attach to the person.
Mhm.
And then to be honest with you, after that, again, it was a situation that I just knew what to do, and I just started doing it. So in the way I work with deliverance, I do it through deliverance baths. So I work with all holistic ingredients in prayer. So it's a combination of the two that destroys these spirits, these demons.
So wow, so that's a mind swift for quite a few people. But then there's two groups of people. There's some people who feel like they have had some of these experiences that you just spoke of. And then there's a group of people who are like questioning what is wrong with me and why am I experiencing this state and why am I in this place? And then there's a group of people who are like, hogwash, right?
Right.
Now, my tendency is to not worry about people who think it's hogwash about anything. Because a man convinced against his will is of the same mindset still. So that means their time is not now. Let's talk to the first two groups. The people who are, number one, maybe like you, if you can address what is the norm of people being awoken or being called to this, to being awakened the way you were. Is that normal, or is this something that happens often and people ignore it? And then we will talk to the other group of people who might be experiencing oppression and depression and even some sort of maybe demon possession or spiritual, speak to those two groups of people. What would you say to them right now as they're listening to this?
First of all, what I would say to the people that are going through the process that are waking up, I don't want to say that is scary, but I will say that it can feel lonely because again, you're being exposed to the truths when you may have other friends that, they're just not spiritually. And when I say this, it doesn't mean that you're better than them, but, spiritually, people are on different levels. That's the only way I can say it. We're just on people. We all have different connections. So they may not be where you're at. And what'll start happening, they will start to pull away. They'll start to pull away from you. So, but what I would say is just to stay with it, because waking up again, you start to learn the truth. You start to understand more. It just makes you have that feeling like of just feeling just being your authentic self. All of these layers are being peeled away. So, you're getting down to your authentic self, your real self. So it can be a challenge in terms of feeling like you're on this lonely road, but after a while, that is something that you will get. You'll definitely get used to that. You will get used to it, and it's a great feeling. I can tell you, it'll come a time when everything starts to feel kind of more normal to you. But it's a good feeling because of what you're learning.
What would you say to them to do? Because you talked about this feeling somewhat alone, and I can see how that would be very much the case. Is there a place for them to go? And do you feel like more as I feel there's an awakening across the globe, just listening to some of the content that's out there. I feel there's awakening. Are individuals who, number one, are called the way you're called, or is it something, are you all a special group of people, or does everyone have access to this but may not choose it?
So, great question. So what I would say is, so there is a large number of people that are waking up. Now, in terms of people that are doing what I'm doing, because we all have different assignments. So with me, it's a little different. Okay. So when I say it's a little different, for me, whenever I first came into this and just going through the things that I was going through, some of the stuff that I was even being told, to be honest with you, I was shaking my head like it just was unbelievable. So for me, getting like the visions and the dreams and seeing myself as an angel, I've had multiple people that were walking up to me even before I really started getting deep into this, and they just kept saying, "I'm seeing you walking as a warrior angel. I'm seeing you as an angel with this sword, with all of this armor on. So these were people that was just coming just out of the blue. So I started to see and started to understand that I was just sent here to help. And that's why I fight the way that I fight. But we all have different assignments. And of course, it's at different levels. Yeah, it's at different levels. So I wouldn't say that everybody can do it, because we do have a lot of people that say, okay, well, because I work with groups of people that have gifts, and they'll say, okay, well, I want to work more in my gift, or I want to work with deliverance. Then I'll start working with them. And once they get into it and they really see what it's about, they start dropping one by one. So it's one of those things. It's easy to say I want to do it until you actually jump into it, until you see what comes with it. And when I mean it is a lot, it is a lot. You would definitely, your faith will be tested. You would definitely find out what you're made of. That's for sure.
I can tell.
And mentally, you have to be there and you have to be strong, because once that crumbles, you're in some trouble. So to answer your question, I think we all have different roles. I wouldn't say that all can do it. We have certain ones, because just to be real, I mean, everybody's strength is different. We have some people that are strong, but but it is a lot of people that is definitely waking up. And the ones that are going through this, the best thing that I could say is to find like a support group. You have a lot of groups out here on Facebook, Star Seeds, people that's waking up. So when you're around people, someone that you can talk to, someone that relates to you, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier with that.
Yeah. Because you can go fast alone, but together you can go further. And it definitely makes the weight a little bit lighter. Again, but I think one thing I heard from you is that each person's call and each person's, more and more blueprint or duty or job in the field of maybe offering people healing and deliverance is different. And I do subscribe to that, because even in this form of what I do with the podcast, in my terms, how I was raised, a lot of people say it's helping me heal and it's helping me grow. But in the spiritual sense, chains are being broken off of people, and deliverance is coming because of the knowledge and the awakening to different truths. And what may be truth to Alisa may not be truth to Thomas in their journey. But as the scales are removed from your eyes, from whatever limitation may be set, and your mind gets set free, for me, that's a form of deliverance. But the deliverance that Thomas is talking about is with removing evil spirits that are oppressing, depressing, suppressing, and possessing people, right? So let's dive a little bit more into that. So here's the question I have for you. I've had individuals on the show who are clairsentient, clairvoyant, and different things. Are those gifts part of your work as well, would you say? Is it referred to as those same terms? What does that look like? Because you're able to tap into, before we hit record, you weren't sure where on the continent of the United States I was, but you were able to tap in. You were getting information that I was on the West Coast. And just to make sure what you asked, and then I was like, yeah, Arizona. So you knew I was West Coast. And who knows what other information you got. Would that be a part of the clairsentient, clairvoyant gifts as well? Do you subscribe to those? And how does that even come about?
Yeah, most definitely. One thing that I see with this, so I see this a lot. Let me just jump over here for a second. So I see this a lot with the religious people, right? So with the religious people, let's say you have a prophet or a pastor in the church, right? They will label that prophet or pastor a seer. So I'm sitting back, right, and I'm kind of laughing. I'm like, you do know that that's clairvoyant, right? But but for them, they want to label it something else, because I won't say all, but most of the religious people are the clairvoyant, or the word psychic. I guess all of that is demonic.
It's woke, it's new age, and they've been using it for decades.
Right, yeah, and it's wicked, but I mean, that's exactly, that's exactly what it is.
They're all the same, no matter what you call it.
Right, it is all the same. Yeah. So to answer your question, yes, clairvoyant. Actually, all of the clairs. So
Yes, right. And can I just say, you can be any and all of those. If you are spiritually awakened and you're moving in the sense of bringing healing to people, those gifts will pop up. To me, I
definitely,
function in all of them, and I just
right.
never knew what they were called. Now I hear the church calls them seer, and I don't even know what that means. But they say
Hmm.
you have a word of knowledge, a word of prophecy, a word of this. And I'm like, I don't even care what it is. It's a message.
Right.
It's a message and I get it. And if it aligns with you, and it's never not aligned, so that
Mm-hmm.
obviously I'm tapped into the right source. If every
Right.
time I get revelation and I reveal to you, and I used to function in fear of it, Prof. I used to function in fear because I'd be like, well, if I tell them what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, these people are going to think I'm crazy. And what if I'm not right? And that fear would come and I wouldn't do it, but then I would feel sick. Like I felt for hours later because I
Hmm.
didn't obey. I have like something in my stomach. I can't eat tonight. I can't eat tomorrow. And I felt sick. And because now I'm trying to work through not doing, I guess, what I'm supposed to do. And it's like, it's like I pushed the disable button. The minute I start doing it, I just went ahead, did it. And I say, does that resonate with you? How did you know? I'm like, don't even worry. Don't even worry about it. This is what I'm
Right.
hearing and seeing. This is what you need to do. Here's how you need to approach that situation. And I walk away. And then they'll come back to me months later. Well, they'll tell me, how would you know? I don't know. This is what I know. They'll come back to me weeks, months later, sometimes later, and I'm like, thank God you said that to me. Thank God you were obedient. Da 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 da. And I'm like, all right. So I got more comfortable and I just flow in that gift. I could be in a coaching session with someone and it flows. Clairsentient, clairvoyance, whatever clairs I needed,
Right. Right.
because it's all part of the tools of bringing healing to people. So talk to
Hmm.
us a little bit more. So that's one thing another thing you and I completely agree on, that church folk would get all caught up in what's called, like I use the word vibes and it pisses people off. And I'm
Hmm.
like, all vibes mean is spiritual. It's
Yeah.
spiritual connectivity. If you're in
Yeah.
alignment, the Bible say, as a man thinketh, so is he. So that's
Mhm.
the alignment is within your thoughts and your spirit and how you move in your body. So in the world, we just call it vibes.
Yeah,
Just
that's
because we
correct.
call it something different doesn't can't change it. And I get Christians picking on me, family members and friends. Well, boo-hoo, too bad, nanny, nanny, poo-poo. Welcome to my world of my
Right.
version of awakening. Just because you're not
Right.
awake doesn't mean I'm going to
That's
put
it.
you down. You'll get there when you need to. But Prof and I are just bringing this. We're having our conversation, the two of us. We're learning from each other. And you all can take from this what you need to. Prof, go ahead. I know you got a whole lot to say about what I just said.
So right. So when all of this started for me, I won't get too deep with it because it'll take so long. But anyway, I'll give you a little bit. But when a
Uh-huh.
lot of it first started for me in the beginning, so I'm sitting down. So I have an altar that I pray at. So anyone that doesn't know what an altar is, so this is just a sacred place that you sit and you pray to the Most High. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
this is what I have. I'm sitting there and I'm speaking. So I'm like, okay, I just want to connect with the right religion. So I'm just trying to figure that out. And so I remember Angel just telling me that religion itself is a spirit. So people don't understand that because what's happening is just like the things we just spoke about. So,
Mm-hmm.
because religion
Mm-hmm.
will keep you in a box. And if
Yes.
something is being done, but it's not being done the way that you've been shown, with your particular religion, then it's witchcraft, it's evil. And I see that a lot. So of course I have people from different religions that come to me all the time and they'll say
Yes.
things like, hey, I've been watching you on social media. I wanted to come to you, but some of the things you say, some of the things, the way you do it,
I always want to correct somebody.
it's just, it's demonic. But anyway, but they'll say, but I just felt led to come. So they come to me, I work with them, then they're delivered and they're free. Right. And
Mm.
so then they tell me, they say, man, so I suffered for 2-3 years because of that, when I could have just simply came to you. But again, this is what the religion does. So the
Mm.
Most High is not attached to a religion. The angels are not attached to a religion at all. Religion is definitely a spirit. I can.
It's human made it. Humans made this up. Even the Bible is not attached to a religion. The Quran is not attached. These are all stem off of one book, and it all just became different things for different people. And again, it was used to control groups of people and by way, over time, the masses. And that is my belief. I'm not speaking on behalf of any church, any religion, or none of my colleagues or friends, or even my podcast or any of my entities. My belief is that religion is an institution that was created to bring people to a smaller group of people because of how they will and perceive these group of people should behave, act, be, do, and become. And so there was this gospel singer who sang, and I loved it, over about 12, 15 years ago. And the song said, all religion was ever was a stone tied to my feet. And when he said that in the words of those songs, Thomas, it was like, oh my God, the more I become grounded and rooted in my spiritual walk, and I open up my mind and my soul and my heart to goodness, kindness, love, light, peace, joy, and abundance, the further away I was moving from my religion that I was born and raised in. And I couldn't understand why. The more when people were on a pulpit, I was questioning their words. I wasn't questioning their actions, because God knows that's questioners, and we're all humans, we're flawed. But
Right.
I was listening to what they're saying, and there was just so much contradiction. And ever since I was a child, Thomas, I was the child who asked my mother at about 3 or 4, Mommy, if God made the heaven and earth, who made him? Because I was raised in a religion that talked about being made and created. So my little brain was like, so who made it? So if there was nothing, then how could you make something from nothing? So I was asking these, I would say, weird questions, because I had questions. Apparently, I was just born in a way where I just didn't accept things for what people said. I wanted to see proof that what they were saying made sense. And so I guess, Prof, I was born woke. Shh, don't tell anyone. I was born woke. I was woke. I was questioning, how is it that in church we spoke of a God who loved, came and died for our sins, but then we would cast young women out of the church and put them to sit in the back pew, and then completely ultimately because they had sex with someone, or they got pregnant outside of marriage, that this loving God we serve, he would say, cast them out. So, and we kept doing that. Why are you on that stage? Last time I heard, Pastor, you were sleeping.
Right, exactly.
So here's the thing. Y'all could get upset. I'm being real. This is my real life experience. This is me. This is part of my journey. This is part of what has become my spiritual journey and walk. Question for you though, Prof, is how does this whole spirit world operate in position into our natural world? What does that look like? What is happening? Because you're casting out demons. Where are they coming from? What's all this?
Right. I'm going to tell you, this stuff, I want to say it is unbelievable. So since I've been working in this, so what I've been seeing is, what's a good way for me to describe? I would say it's like I'm going to just say certain laws is what I'll say. It's almost like if you step over this boundary, if you do certain things, you open yourself to certain attacks. Like, okay, let me give you an example. So let's talk about Reiki energy healing. Okay. So I explain to people that the energy healing part is fine. The issue is the ritual that you have to go through, because you have to get attuned. The Reiki masters get attuned to these ancient Japanese symbols. All right. So these are pagan symbols that they get attuned to. So some of them, they use these symbols to heal with. You're touching people. Things can transfer from the Reiki master can transfer to the client. And those are some of the issues that you can have. So you have to be very, very careful when it comes to different things like that. And just the way this, you may have one person that can go and that person is fine. The second person may go and that person is affected. Everybody has a different level of protection. Wow. One thing that I talk about a lot is fasting. You should be fasting at least once a month. This brings you in closer to the Most High God. I explain to people, the closer you are, the more protection you have.
Yes.
Everyone does not have the same level of protection. They just
Come on.
don't. And this stuff is attached to karma. That's why I always tell people. Some people say, well, I don't believe in karma. Karma is definitely real. Tell people, treat people right. Like you never get away with anything that you do.
Wait, press pause there. You said karma. So do you believe in karma and dharma?
100%.
As spoken about in the Hindu religion?
You said in the Hindu
religion, yes. Because karma and dharma, from my spiritual teaching, was a derivative, the language of the East Indian people. They don't talk about it in Christianity, but I believe it's the same thing. It's just called something else, right? Mm-hmm. I believe in karma. I do. And I've learned about dharma in my journey. And so I subscribe to dharma as well. Not as much. I guess I speak more about karma. And in our camp, we talk about, Dr. Kareem always talks about karma checks always clearing. No matter what you do, karma is not a thing. It is a spiritual law. That's how I approach it. So tell me if this is what you're meaning. What you put out, it goes out and it comes back. It's like a, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So that's what you're speaking of.
Yeah.
And
so
I
what
agree.
you eat is what you sow.
Right. You're not going to you can't plant an acorn seed and get apples.
Right. Exactly.
And every word, every thought, every deed is seed that brings fruit in due season.
Yes.
It's my belief that a lot of the Bible is parables to teach us there's spiritual depth in each word. And so it was given. So when you say karma, even though it's a lot of people be like, that's affiliated with Hinduism and Dharma, whatever, Taoism or whatever the isms they call them. Mm-hmm. It is a spiritual law that even you believe in it or not, it's coming for you. It exists, just like the law of gravity.
It is. Yes, it is. So people don't understand why they see certain people that are living a harsh life, not knowing that is all tied to that person's karma, because we live multiple lives. So
that's the other thing I was going to say. Talk about that, because I, oh my gosh, we definitely need another episode really soon.
Yeah, we live multiple lives. Not only do we live multiple lives, we can come back as animals as well. So I've had visions of seeing myself as a dragon. I've come back. I've seen at least 4 or 5 times I was a soldier. So a lot of this stuff makes sense to me because my favorite print is camouflage. And I've always been a fighter as well. So yeah, I've seen myself as a soldier multiple times. I've seen myself as a slave. So we go through, so it is a school. This is definitely a school. Earth is a school. We come back to learn, to help the soul evolve, to help the soul grow. So what happens is, that's why I say it's attached to the karma. So if you're living, I'm just going to say you're living a bad life, you're living a negative life, you're just doing a lot of hurtful things. If it does not catch up with you that particular lifetime, it could catch up with you the next lifetime. Like it will catch up with you. So people don't understand, well, why is my life so bad? Why is this happening? Yada, yada, yada. The karma has caught up with the person. It has definitely caught up with the person. So people say, well, what can I do to clear the karma? Like, what can I do? So I tell people, volunteer, try to help people as much as you can. Just try to do good deeds, and that's a way that can help to try to clear that up.
So I'm going to bring a personal experience. Ever since I was a child, I haven't had it for a while because I think I've made peace. It was just like, it seemed like a memory. So I think I would be like in my teenage years when it started happening. So I would be on the shorefronts and I am a white female and I'm on a horse and there's a whole battalion with me. It looks like it's a war. I can never see my face though, but I can see my hands and I'm giving orders and I'm in command of this group. Mm-hmm. Of what seemed to be a mixed group of men and women, but we are warriors. I was clear we're warriors, but it was on the forefront and there's battleships and all this stuff. This dream was recurring for over a decade. I've been around for 4.5 decades. So it was around for a long time. And it wasn't until probably about 6 to 7 years ago I came into, as a matter of fact, it probably was longer. And I remember Oprah Winfrey had a conversation with someone where she was talking about reincarnation and lives. And I questioned it. And I was telling my mom, and my mom, who was raised very, very religious, she was Anglican, which is like Catholic. And then she became Baptist. And then I was raised Wesleyan. Thing I loved about my mom, she never, even though we were so religious and into our church and our denomination, she never shut us out from learning. She always, I feel like my mom, one big gift she gives us among many is that growth mindset and being open to listen and learn. And so we knew what was going on with our Hindu neighbors, and we spend time in their fellowships and learning what they were just listening, hearing, and what was going on with the Muslims, because we were all very in one community. But I heard Oprah spoke about this, and I said, Mommy, this dream that I keep having, and I wonder if it's a memory. And as I got older, I'm at peace now that it's a memory from a past life. I never really access it, but it looked like, I'm going to say this, all I know is that a lot of really horrible things has occurred in my life, which doesn't explain how I live peaceably, how kind, how caring, how I'm always thinking about how I treat other people. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but my life is pretty squeaky clean. So I could never understand, why does these bad things happening, like infertility, I can't have children, I go through divorce. Like, why does this happen when I'm such a good person pretty much my entire life? And it dawned on me one day, I kind of put it together. I feel like it's a karma from a past life. I said, I don't have a reason for any of this, so I'm going to have to believe this, because this is the only thing that makes sense. Right. And so in this lifetime, all I do and all I've ever done is good. I don't know, maybe I'm not clear. My belief is not that solid, but I'm 85, 89% sure that my next lifetime, if not now, or honestly, I do believe in this lifetime, I will see the fruit of clearing my death for what I might have done in a past life or past lives. And I'm going to see the fruit now. People talk about clearing poverty and struggling with finances and all that. But until you clear that up, you won't be entrusted with more, so that you don't become the evil person you were in the last life to create havoc. So this is why I tell people, when it comes to living your purpose and what you're called to do, don't wait for perfect, because it's not guaranteed. Use this time that you have, because that's all you have. Whether we do have a next life or not, I don't know. I'm still learning these things. Prof may know, but for me, for sure, I have now. So I spend my time doing good. And I believe that even though the finances is not in my bank account the way I would want it to be, I still see how much wealth I'm able to build up in getting knowledge, in relationships, connections, in impact and influence, and really just not healing myself alone, but bringing healing to other people. Because that I don't need to be financially wealthy for. I still desire to obtain financial wealth, but doesn't stop me or prohibit me from doing what it is that my soul was put on the earth to do for this lifetime. So talk to us about how all that works. Because funny, that's been my experience. I promise you, I swear I was a bad warrior, and I bombed and destroyed nations sometime. I don't know which one of them. One day somebody will tell me.
Yeah, well, again, living multiple lives, yes, it's definitely true. We all live multiple lives. Sometimes we will have visions of those lives that will continue to come to us as well. Now, you can come back as an animal, but also you can come back as a rock. You can come back as a blade of grass. So even when I say this stuff, people are like, what? Well, yeah, because all of it is alive. Everything has energy. It all has energy. Everything is alive. I had a vision one time. Well, this was a dream, rather. And in this dream, I'm on the side of the road, right? And so I was kneeling down in the grass. And so it was a flower that was in front of me. The flower came out of the grass, walked over to me. It had a face and everything. And it was saying something. I couldn't understand what it was saying. A car started to come. The flower walked right back to the flower bed, planted itself, and just looked like a normal flower. So I was going through times where I would see trees that would walk through the street. and would walk in the woods and plant, and it's like a normal tree. But I knew this would show me that everything is alive. So I actually seen this in real life in terms of walking through a nature trail, and I saw a face on a tree. So everything around us is alive. It's just that your eyes have to be open spiritually to be able to see the things. And then again, you have to be able to handle it. You know, when I was going through my process, I mean, which I'm still going through it, I would pray, and Yeshua would tell me, he would say, okay, I'm about to start showing you more. You're about to start seeing more. So it's like right now when I'm sitting down, I see orbs flying all over the place. I had demons around me 24/7. I have angels around me 24/7. Sometimes I wake up and I'll see a black ball or a black orb right here. You know, it'll just be sitting there, but they can't get to me. But I wake up and I, you know, and I see the stuff. So yeah, all of it is definitely real. The spiritual world, I tell people, it's not a game. You want to try to understand this stuff. I see people, so they'll come to me, they'll say, you know what, I'm feeling off. I said, okay. So I can look, they may have a spirit attached to them. Okay, so now that you have a spirit attached to you, this spirit has affected your chakra system. All right. A lot of people don't think chakras are real. This is something that's very real.
It's even chakras are even biologically real. It's not even, it's biologically, it's already real. Physiologically, it exists. It's not anything foreign. It's not even, it's affected spiritually, but it's part of your body. And pineal gland and all that is all scientifically proven. These are not made up spiritual things.
And it's like me. I'm what they call an empath. Right. So I call it a human sponge. So yes. I can feel everything, to the point I've been in the room and started feeling someone's menstrual cycle. I was like, woo, man, I see why she's exactly the way she was acting. But so it's real. So I can feel all of that. And again, this spiritual realm, just all of it is very real. This stuff can affect the chakras. A lot of people ignore the chakras. Either A, they don't know about it, or either B, they just don't believe in it. But we have our physical body, and then we have our spiritual body with these chakras in the body. So you need to know how to maintain those by trying to eat healthy, drinking water. Yeah, it's a lot to it, but again, it all is real.
It is very, very real. So guess what, Disruptors? I know that you are enjoying this conversation with Thomas Jones, the Woke Prophet, and I. We've got a whole lot more to discuss, so you're going to have to come back to part 2 and 3 and 4, because that's the number that I got. We've got 4 episodes, so this is just part 1. If you're listening, we thank you so much for listening. I want you to go to www.energetic-hands.com to connect with Thomas and let him know that you heard the first episode. You can't wait for part 2. And go to Amazon and look up for The Woke Prophet, the book. It's time to wake up, and continue to follow along with us for the next 4 episodes with The Woke Prophet, Thomas Jones. Look him up on social media and you'll continue to get more. We're more than likely going to announce when we're doing this episode, because we're going to do it concurrently live so that you can ask questions. We are so happy that you're here with us. Until next time, keep mastering your mindset. Think, speak, do, become. We'll see you soon on the next one. Bye. So what